Okay, guys, today we're going to tackle the fact that women try to blame their choices onto us guys. Like we force them to make their choices. They're obviously embarrassed about their choices, and rather than take ownership of it, they want to blame us guys for it. I'm putting a stop to that. We're going to tackle pants, right? And high heels, and above all, facial surgery. Women damage their looks for status and then try to blame us guys, right? So, first things first, we'll get into this video of the historicrat where he has this male feminist loser try to blame men. Now, he talks about the inventions of trousers. 813, we'll get into this. Why did guys start wearing trousers as opposed to robes and togas? Because it was necessary to ride horses, right? It was a necessity for war. Now let's get into this.
Marvellous, likely becoming the first trouser-wearing Europeans. And on the other side of the world, the Chinese were eyeing up the Xiongnu Confederacy's trouser-wearing anarchy. During the brutally complicated period of the Warring States, none of the Chinese dynasties were really putting up a great defense to the Xiongnu Confederacy. Their gowns and robes were getting in the way. They just kept tripping up over each other on the battlefield. This eventually caused some leaders to take notice. While these trouser things were considered strange and perverse by the Chinese people as well, their kings, emperors and military leaders were really tired of losing, so they wanted to give these hot new trouser things a go. The sign?
There you go. Both the Chinese and earlier he talked about the Greeks. They found the trousers ugly. They're worn by barbarians. And the Greeks even found them effeminate, right? But they were too useful on the battlefield. So they adopted them, right? And this is why women don't wear pants. War and work is for men, for us subhuman males. And that's why they never wore pants. Because they didn't have to. Now, 2437, you'll see this guy try and blame us for women's choices.
Really got into the idea of cuffed trousers. Yes, something about trousers I'd completely taken for granted until
I'm a minute behind. Here we are, right about here.
Place. I get to say the word. Yes, I get to say it. I get to say the P word. You
Are you proud of bashing your fellow man with lies? You're pathetic, whoever you are.
ready?
Byron Lewis. Yeah.
Patriarchy. And unfortunately so. Women had almost entirely stopped wearing them, even going back to the Roman period.
Yeah, you know why, dude? Because they didn't have to. Pants were for working, warring men. They didn't have to do that, and they didn't want to. So, of course, they went back to it. Men would never have adopted trousers if they didn't have to.
Women in the West had been largely stripped of their autonomy and right to wear trousers should they
Stop your line. They weren't stripped of anything. They preferred this.
wish. I'm sure this rejection of bodily autonomy and representation in the workplace was their idea.
Yeah, it was their idea for representation in the workplace. They don't want to work for a living. What do you see here? A bunch of women hanging around, talking, upper class women, having tea together or drinks of some kind. This is the life that they chose. It's a preferable life to working for a living. Where are all the men? There's one guy, all the rest are female. Right. They're the leisure class. So they weren't into wearing pants.
It is of course an active choice to not let women take part in things. It took active work over the last 2 centuries.
There you go. There's a bunch of women. Look how they're dressed. They prefer to that. You do realize there are cosplayers today, women cosplayers who dress up like that, who dress up like high status women of the late 1800s. Are you aware of that? Because I am. Hey, look at this, getting dressed in Victorian era, 1895. She looks happy to be in this outfit. And there's all kinds of them on YouTube. Why? Why is that, Lewis? It's because they're high status. They mean you don't have to work and you don't have to go to war. That's why. And women prefer that. Now, if they didn't, can I ask you something? This is 200 years later. How come women prefer skirts, right? Look at this. How come these modern women aren't allowed to wear pants, right? Because the naked leg is sexual power for women. Men only wear pants because it doesn't get us anywhere. Our bare legs don't get us anywhere, right? And these women aren't forced to do anything. They love it. They love the freedom of not having their legs bound up in pants, right? Now let's pause it. I'm going to tackle the long nail thing, right? Ancient China, long nails were a symbol of wealth and status, as they indicated that individual did not have to engage in manual labor. So wealthy men in China grew their nails too long, or so long they couldn't, their hands weren't useful. Modern day women, are they not growing their hair, nails long, or even wearing fake nails? It's status symbols. This is women are status obsessed, and their choices are all about showing that they are the upper crust, right? Now we'll tackle the high heels, right? The origin of the high heels, right? High heels originated in ancient Persia in the 10th century. Initially, they were worn by men to provide additional stability while riding horseback. The heels clicked into the stirrups, allowing riders to maintain balance and control. So just like the pants, the high heels was for work and war. And that's why the men that invented them first, for a purpose, right? Then high heels continued to be worn by men in medieval period, particularly by nobility and members of the clergy. High status men. They symbolized high social status and refined fashionable taste. That's why women adopted them. They saw men of the upper echelon wearing them, and they said, that's us. All of us girls want to be high end, so they took them up. But none of these women had to go to war, right? During the Renaissance and Baroque periods, high heels became more ornate and elaborate. They were worn by both men and women, although men's heels were generally higher and more dramatic. Well, the women fixed that, didn't they? This was partly due to influence. Oh, yeah. But here's high heels fell out of favor for men during the 18th and 19th centuries. Right. As more practical and comfortable footwear became popular. Not just popular, necessary. You know, men, if you're a foot soldier or you have to work for a living, high heels get in the way. Right? Right. So they remain for the upper crust, right? Because these women in their short skirts, they're all wearing high heels pretty well too, right? It's a show of status. So we know that. Now, I'm going to play a bit of this, but because it features a little girl, I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to play it for you. And why am I playing this? Because this is proof that men do not push women that wear high heels. Women try to blame men by saying men like us in high heels. There's this pressure that for us to wear high heels that hurt our feet from men. That's not so. Now listen to this. The father actually rathers the little girl not wear them. But she's only a little girl, right?
You like this. Then I'm not trying to get told you, but thank you.
Okay, I'm not a big fan of high heels.
Then I love high heels. You don't understand how much I love them. Like, I would just be so happy if I got them. That'd be my dream come true if that would be this size. Hey, but my foot is little. Daddy, my foot
All right, any other shoes that I can get?
No.
There you go. The little girl says, I want high heels. Dad says he's not crazy on them. So he's actually pushing the opposite direction. He's actually trying to hold back from her having high heels. She wants them. So this is a little girl, so it's completely innate. Just like little girls playing with dolls. It's innate, right? Men cannot be blamed, ever. So there's the high heels. Now, we'll get to the plastic surgery. Look what happened. What's her name? Erin Moriarty. Beautiful actress, damaged her face with surgery. Now, women damaging their faces with surgery has been going on enough decades that this trend should have ended, right? With the new generation. Why hasn't it? Because surgery is, again, a status symbol. Women are willing to lose their good looks to show off to other women that they have wealth. Their status obsession is actually harmful, right? And as you can see, why I'm pointing out, this is a man saying this. Women need to stop plastic surgery until we figure out what's wrong. Why would you ruin your face like that? So when men speak up, we're saying we prefer the undamaged natural beauty. And women are the ones saying, no, I prefer damaging my face to show off status to other women. Because what men think does not matter to women. Women care only about other women. And that's why we got to stop accepting blame from women for their own choices. Right? Now, these women do not want to admit they're shallow, that everything is about status, right? They don't want to take any accountability for their actions. They want to blame us guys, right? And I refuse to do that. They're not blaming me for anything. Matter of fact, what triggered this was that a niece of mine, she has potential to go into STEM fields. What she do? She went into linguistics, right? And I said, yeah, well, that makes sense because women prefer the soft sciences to the hard sciences. And her mother, my sister, spoke up and said, well, girls just aren't encouraged, right? She tries to, I had no problem with her taking soft sciences. That was her choice. So men, of course, like myself, were neutral. It's the women who care, right? You know, if there's nothing wrong with preferring the soft sciences, nothing, but they must see something wrong with it. And what do? They try and blame other people, men in particular, about the choices that they made themselves and their daughters. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to let them shift the blame to me, right? If you feel there's something wrong with what you're doing, then feel shame and change your ways. Don't come to me and try to blame me for your choices. So, okay, guys, let's get on this. We tackled the major ones, okay? Women choose to do this nonsense. We don't make them. We don't make them. We don't pressure them. If anything, we do the opposite. And that only makes them want to do it more. Like, again, the old pants thing here, right? Blaming men for women wearing pants or not wearing pants. Women made these choices. The only time they react is when a man agrees with her and says, yeah, you shouldn't wear pants. Then they go, you can't tell me what to do. So they'll don their pants just to snub us and then quickly get back, where are they here? To Victorian dresses and high heels and short skirts. Right. So again, this is to show over and over again, women do not like men. They try to use us as scapegoats for their own shallow behavior and interest. And I just refuse to let them. Thank you, everyone.